Today I want to talk about communicating with men and why it's so important to communicate differently with men. And that the way I even say that, it makes it sound like men are so, different that we need to communicate with them differently. No, we are different, they are different. We should stop. We all need to stop expecting each other, the opposite sex, to communicate the same way as us. We get so frustrated when men don't share their feelings, or when men aren't, don't share about what's going on with them, and we get annoyed and frustrated. And this is how fights begin in relationships, because actually men and women are so different, and this is what we have to recognize. And really, we really can thrive if we know this. So the reason I focus a lot on communicating with men in my private coaching is because that is the key to an amazing relationship long term. I use my dating skills and my communication with men skills to this day in my relationship. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining. So, why is communicating with men so important to do differently? Well, because, hey, Angela, because we are different from each other. That's what I was just saying. So, what is the difference? We like to talk a lot. Women like to talk a lot. We like to share a lot. And guess what? We process while chatting. Hi, Charlene. Nice to see you. You did it. So nice to see you here. We like to chat a lot. We like to process while talking. We might be, we women, we might be thinking of something and just want to talk it through. A man doesn't talk unless he's sure about something, or he's thought about it for so long and he's still not sure, he needs advice. Those are the two things, and they expect that from us. So they wonder, why is she talking? Okay, she must need advice. See, this is where we get annoyed, because they want to fix it. And men are fixers. Men's brains are, if it's broken, fix it. Hello, Sylvia. Thank you for joining. And we like to blab and process a little and just hear ourselves say it, and, maybe bounce it off a friend or bounce it off our partner. And we just want to chat about it or be heard. But a man fundamentally has a really hard time not fixing. And that's not wrong, ladies. They are not wrong for doing that. And that's what we do. We make them wrong. Like, oh, men just want to fix. Yeah, thank you. Men want to fix stuff. Hey, Alchemy. Men want to fix stuff, and that's so great. And we can use that to our advantage. We can use their skill and their drive to help in the best ways to benefit us. So here's the deal. When you're processing something, when you just want to, talk about something, when you aren't sure yet if you want help or not, you can do one of two things. Either use another female to bounce that off of, and hey, Allison, yay! Bounce it off another female, hang out with women. If you're a woman, you need to hang out with women more. And I know we're in lockdown. Some of us are less in lockdown now. Things are changing. But generally, the point is women need other women for this reason. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to process. We need to bounce. We just need that connection. Men go inward more. they contemplate, they think about it, they mull it over. It's not that they're not caring about the things that are bothering them or that are stressful or that, they are processing. And it doesn't mean they're just, thinking about sex or food, or they're not dumb, okay? Let's stop man bashing and let's try to understand. Let's try to understand what's going on for them, because we want to be understood by men as well, don't we? Give me a yes or a no. If you want to be understood by men, give me a yes or a no. I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be from all of you. Do you want to be understood and heard by men? So, yeah, Sarah is... Oh, Sarah! Hey, Sarah! Oh my gosh, so many friends on here. So great. Yes, Charlene is saying yes. Angela's saying yes, of course. Sylvia's saying yes. So obviously we want to be heard and understood by men. But just like going to a foreign country, I don't speak Hebrew, and I was recently in Israel. Or I don't speak Spanish well. I was in Costa Rica also recently, like before the lockdown. I'm reminiscing. Oh. Anyway, if I speak Hebrew in Tel Aviv to someone, and my example is getting washed out by my fantasies about traveling. If I'm talking to someone in English and they don't understand me, either in Israel or in a Spanish-speaking country like Costa Rica, if I start speaking English and they don't understand me, and I just repeat it but louder, and then I start yelling, they're still not going to understand me, right? They're not going to understand me unless they understand English. So I don't care how much I yell, they're not going to hear me. Same with men and women. If we start yelling at our men about how they should be different so that we can feel heard, that is not the answer. We need to speak their language to get our needs met. Let me repeat that. We need to speak the language of men to get our own needs met. We need to learn how to communicate in a way that they can hear us and understand us, and then they will naturally want to give us what we're asking for. But if we're just screaming, Hebrew at them and they don't speak it, it's not gonna work. Do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes my examples are really convoluted. But my point is, you can't just keep doing the same thing with men and expecting different results. Like that's the typical sort of definition of insanity. Hi, Tula. Nice to have you here. Okay, so communicating with men, learning their language. And learning their language isn't necessarily, in fact, it's not at all meaning to become like a man. In fact, it is speaking in a language that they can hear us. And that's not necessarily their language. I guess I shouldn't put it that way, but speaking in a language that they can hear us. And guess what, ladies? Some of you know this from my private coaching, and I know, Angela, you just wrote a killer online dating profile. I just want to shout you out because you did a fantastic job. Communicating with men through feeling statements. This is key because a man's want and need to serve you, a man's ability to take care of you, a man's want to be your hero gets ignited when you speak from your feeling place. And this counts for when you're angry too, or when you're feeling bitchy, or what, all the negative emotions too. See, a lot of people think that being feminine means you have to be a doormat and you have to be amiable and you have to be sweet and you have to... No. You just have to learn how to communicate those things in a way that is feminine, because the feminine is very stormy. The feminine can be sweet and loving and receiving, but the feminine can also be very, emotional in all the different ways. There can be anger, there can be rage, there can be, all like sadness. There can be all kinds of not so perfect emotions. And that's not what being the feminine means. Being in the feminine doesn't mean that you have to be perfect or sweet all the time. It just means be in connection with yourself, with your own femininity, and from that place express what you're feeling, including anger, including how you feel, including what's going on for you. Alchemy is saying, yes, us women need to surround ourselves with other women to express our feeling and support one another. Yes, Alchemy, right on. That is so important. And it also really feeds the feminine connection to yourself. We really feed off of each other. So when we're together with one other woman or several other women, we really boost each other up. We fill each other up. It's wonderful. She's also saying, and yes, I agree with you, us women need to understand and learn to speak men's language where they would understand us is so powerful. Exactly. Yes, you are right on. You got it. So do you see where I'm going with this? It's not that we need to conform. It's not that we need to just be silent and shut up and put up. That is not what it's about. What it's about is finding our own voice. Hello, Emily. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. It's about finding our own voice and really learning how to express our desires in a way that inspires. One of my mentors actually taught me that. Express your desires in a way that inspires. And take out the garbage, or you never take out the garbage, is different than it would feel amazing if the garbage was taken out. That's just a quick example of what the difference is. And you're still saying it, and you're still getting what you're wanting, or hopefully you would get what you want, but you're actually more likely going to entice the man to do what you are really needing. And that goes for everything, sharing feelings. It goes with having a discussion. It goes with sex. It goes with talking about kids, talking about parenting, everything. If you approach a man with this kind of communication, you are winning everywhere. In your office, corporate setting, in a male-dominated workplace, wherever, you will win. And you're going to get all your needs met that way, or most of them anyway. Of course, I can't promise you're going to get your needs met, and it depends on the man in front of you as well, right? If they respond to that. Most masculine men who are highly developed, and I call them kings, Alison Armstrong also calls them kings, those men really respond to that. Most other men too, even if they're not a king yet. And some of the more immature, weak masculine men, they can also respond to that, especially if you're in a really strong feminine place, coming from a really strong feminine communication. I see some thumbs up coming up. So any questions about this? It's a vast topic. It's a huge topic. I work with my private clients on this for the entire year that I work with them. It is not a quick and easy topic to just quickly, absorb. So the more of these Facebook Lives that you can watch, the more, you can just absorb with these concepts and practice them, the better you're gonna get with it. So the key points are communicating with men is like communicating in a foreign country where you don't know the language. You can't just say what you're going to say, and then if they don't understand you, start yelling it again. You have to learn their language, or you have to learn a way to be able to communicate with them that they can hear you. That's the key. And as soon as you are able to do that, and they are able to hear you, then you are going to see the shift. Now, for those of you who are dating, starting this in your dating practice is amazing. It's an amazing way for it to get really, really ingrained in your neurology, in your practice of being really good at communicating that way, kind of naturally. Rather than, for those of you in relationships, it's harder to shift it in a relationship where you already have a dynamic, but totally doable. Totally, completely doable. Charlene is saying, rather than always use the word I feel, can you identify the feeling example? I love, I appreciate. Totally, Charlene. Really good question. You can do that. However, when you say I love something, I love it when you take out the garbage, for example. You're praising them. You're not sharing your feeling. And men need praise, absolutely. But men don't get it doesn't get invoked to serve you when you praise them necessarily. So I'm going way too deep. I'm going to just stay on track, and I'll talk about all this stuff another time. But of course, I'm overgeneralizing. Of course, when you praise and you say I love what you did, it's gonna invoke them to feel good. And I also know what you're saying. You're saying, I love going for walks down the street on a sunny day. That is okay. It's better than saying it in a different way, like my favorite thing is, or I'm so into the feminine that it's hard for me to not do it, but saying like I like walks on the beach, I like this, I like patios, right? Just saying what you like is boring, and saying what you love is also a little bit boring. So I know it feels, Charlene, I know it feels kind of contrived and forced to say I feel, but trust me, first of all, men don't notice that you're doing that. You only notice that it feels like odd, that you're putting on a show in a way by using these scripts. And they're not going to notice that you're talking like this consciously. All they notice is, wow, I'm drawn to this woman. So I really urge you, and you're one of my private clients, so we can talk about this more, but and I'll guide you, right, a lot better than just this quick Facebook Live. But I really urge all of you to use I feel statements, as hard as it feels. Here I'm using feel again. You're going to have resistance. You're going to resist that saying I feel. And that is because we're conditioned to it makes us feel really vulnerable, and we're conditioned to think that that's not how people want to be talked to. But guess what? Men love it when we say I feel, because here's why. When we connect to our feelings, it allows a man to drop into his heart, and it allows him to feel in his heart as well. It triggers that for him. A man cannot drop into his feelings without that. So that is why a man is drawn to a feminine woman. That is why a man is so always still searching for a more feminine woman. This is why, I'm not going to go into that. So, right? So when we say I feel amazing when I go for walks in the beautiful sunshine in the spring. That is gripping for a man. And for you, it feels odd. For you, it feels forced, fake. But for a man, it really, really draws him in because it connects him to his heart, which he cannot do without connecting to a feminine being. That's why masculine and feminine are so well clicked together, because we need each other in that way. Okay. Alchemy is saying, I have a feeling you learned from Alison Armstrong. I love her book, Keys to the Kingdom. Exactly. So, oh my gosh, Alchemy, totally. So Keys to the Kingdom talks about how men have different levels, and we have too, but men have different levels of growth, and a king is like the top level. Like, that's the kind of man that you guys are all looking for. And you need to become a queen. And queens invoke and attract the king in men by creating this kind of communication. So thank you for bringing that up, Alchemy. That is totally true. And you guys should read this book, Keys to the Kingdom and The Queen's Code. Both excellent books. I base a lot of my work on it, not all. Of course, I have a lot of mentors and people that I follow to make my own coaching program. So, but Alison is definitely one of my greatest mentors, and I even interviewed her in my show a couple of months ago. For those of you who saw, you probably remember. Charlene is saying, so to say, I feel grateful rather than I appreciate when is better. Yes, 100%, 100%. So I feel is always better than I something. I feel appreciative would also work. Okay? All right, you guys, I am gonna let you guys go, and we will see each other again on Thursday, same time, same place. Mwah, love you all.